Hello everyone, this is Fi. We're checking out Avoider. This is a game I've not played before. We're going to give it a playtest and see if we can give some useful feedback. I've got the game page open here. This is once again going to be one of these where the game is embedded into the web page, so let's go ahead and look at that together. Alright, it says goal, you can't destroy the enemies, but they can destroy each other, so that's what you're going to help them to do. That sounds like an interesting concept. Controls WASD to move, left mouse button to blink, short distance teleportation in cursor's direction. Right mouse button to move slower, space to enable bullet time. Alright, interesting. So WASD and spacebar and the left and right mouse buttons. Hints, enemies are color-coded for your convenience. When they're green, you're fine. When they're yellow, they're ready to attack. When they're red, they will attack or are attacking. Excuse me. Use blinking to quickly get away. Press right mouse button to move more precisely. To move even more precisely, press space. Turquoise border around your ship. Wait. Okay, so it says press right mouse button to move more precisely, which is the move slower. And then spacebar is even more precisely with the bullet time. Okay, interesting. Turquoise border around your ship indicates when you have enough energy to blink. Bullet time uses the same energy as blinking. That's interesting. Your score multiplier depends on the amount of enemies you got killed as well as how far you progressed in the game. Get damaged or let the bar at the bottom run out and your multiplier will reset. There are several modifiers that let you get even more points, e.g. kill a missile launcher with its own missile or kill any enemy shortly after it spawns. Interesting. I'm guessing the point system is going to be kind of separate from the actual gameplay, so if I go ahead and ignore that, it won't necessarily affect the play, but we'll see how that goes. I guess we're just going to go ahead and click on run game. We're loading some stuff. Okay, I guess we're in the game here. Oh my gosh, okay, so, interesting. So there is some inertia on the movement, but you accelerate pretty quickly. The movement in general is quite fast. Yeah, a little bit of acceleration. I'm interested to see how that affects the game. It kind of feels nice at the moment. There's only these little guys here. I don't know if there's going to be like a lot of bullets on the screen and stuff. Generally with like traditional shmups, for example, I always say like you should really just not have any inertia on the movement at all because it just makes your movement much more responsive and allows for very accurate movement, like weaving between bullets and stuff. I'm not sure if there's going to be any of that sort of thing here, so we'll have to just kind of see if I have some opinion on that. I'm not really trying to play much here. I already took 2 hits. I guess lives up here, I guess. It looks like we have 8 of them. I think I probably lost. If I get a hit again, is that number going to go down? Yeah, so that's interesting. So we have kind of a lot to work with. I don't know, maybe that could even just be for the sake of the demo or something. Might be nice if I like the visual indications and stuff going on here. A lot of players I think don't put enough into that. Really make it clear like when attack is going to come and that sort of thing. Can I pause this by any chance? I tried escape. Oh. Okay, I'm trying to make sense of the visual feedback. Looks like the. Can I make this full screen by any chance? I tried Alt Enter. It doesn't look like we're gonna get full screen out of this, unfortunately. So yeah, I can't seem to. Oh, okay. The P button, the P key on the keyboard does pause the game. I would suggest moving that over to escape because that's kind of a standard now. P is kind of like an old school thing, I think, from my observation and experience. But that's okay. So yeah, I like the visual feedback and how much the enemies are telegraphing and all this stuff. But I think that the feedback could be made a little more dramatic, so it's more noticeable and such. Especially when it comes to like, well, just with everything. So I think we get this like really kind of, it's a little bit subtle, the outline. It does have this sort of little flash effect when this recharges, I guess. The blue around the ship, but it's like the outline's really thin. It's not that easy to see. I kind of expected that. Okay. expected this to be more of like a resource rather than just like a straight up cooldown. I think it's more of just a straight up cooldown, so that'll be something to just kind of get used to. But yeah, so like with the enemies, they turn red. You might want to make that kind of flash even. I would make that probably even more dramatic. Just make like a bigger animation, kind of a juicy, like a big flash effect or something that kind of, it's kind of like bigger than just the little lines that they're rendered from or something, and different stuff like that. Just overall, it appears that the feedback that does exist in the game, it's really good. It could just be made more dramatic so that it's like a lot easier to see. Sometimes you're not looking at that particular part of the screen at the moment, so you're not really going to see something from the other part of your vision very clearly if you're not looking directly at that thing at the moment there. So we have energy up here. I'm not sure. Okay, so that's the same as this, but we're not really going to look in the top left to see that meter. So if nothing else, that kind of communicates it's happening there. But yeah, you have to wait until it's completely full again. So this is just a straight up cooldown. Then we have bullet time, which you can really kind of see the dramatic effects of the inertia when you go into bullet time like that. It might be nice that I think something I might have experimented a little with in the past, but the idea of like having less inertia when you go into bullet time can be kind of nice, because it's that kind of, it feels like really your movement is really kind of sluggish, not just because you're moving slower, obviously because it's bullet time, but also because of the fact that you change direction so slowly. It becomes a lot more dramatic and noticeable. So if you kind of reduce or even remove the inertia while you're in the bullet time, it can kind of feel good in my opinion, because it not only do you get the benefits of everything slowing down, so you can kind of react to it better, but you also get a little bit of an extra benefit of your own maneuverability, and that kind of feel good. Yeah, so I have to keep track of where my mouse is because of the way that the blink works. Apparently it has a limited range. Can I blink a shorter distance? Yeah, okay, so it only goes a certain range. It's a little hard to judge that, I guess, if you're not like super familiar with it. And yeah, again, it's a little hard to notice sometimes. Like if I'm looking at these guys and I'm not looking directly at my ship, I might not notice that little flash. Another thing you can do with regards to this sort of feedback with things is, of course, you can use more audio. So we're not really getting a lot of audio effect. The sound that's here is pretty quiet. Usually people make their games like way too loud. This is quite quiet. I'm not sure if you can even like hear it very well in the capture, or I have the sound level set to right now. But in any case, yeah, there's not a lot of sound effects, and that's not unusual for a game in development. But also, like I was saying, that's just something that can do a lot to enhance the feedback you get. So instead of just seeing like a visual, you can also get like an audio cue, and then if you use unique cues for unique things, and you learn to recognize what's what, that kind of thing. So yeah, the inertia isn't bad. I do notice like when you do this kind of thing where you're just kind of standing still and then you react to this, definitely do it, but it would feel a little snappy if you didn't have the inertia on the movement. There's something to consider, I guess. It does feel a little different, but it's not at a point where it's like it's a problem currently. I haven't really been playing this very seriously. As you can probably tell, I've just been kind of talking and just doing whatever instead of actually trying. So presumably you want to line these up right. But yeah, so the inertia, effectively, it does sort of add to your reaction time because of the fact that it does take just a moment to pick up your speed. So when you press in the directional input, it's not like immediately moving at full speed, which is what you would of course get without inertia. So when you are designing a game that's sort of based around this sort of reaction time kind of stuff, you might want to consider that, because it could just feel better altogether if you just got rid of that. It does feel like there's a lot of just kind of standing still and then suddenly moving out of the way. So yeah, with that in mind, it does make me feel more and more like, yeah, I'd just prefer that there wasn't inertia on the movement, because that'll allow me to, like, this kind of thing. Like that time, I probably wouldn't have gotten hit if it wasn't for the inertia. So, I mean, to some extent, this is just going to come down to, you know, how focused I am. Naturally, when I'm sitting here and talking, I'm playtesting, I'm not going to be as focused as I would be playing this more casually. But yeah, that's the thing that's really standing out to me, is just this very simple idea of the inertia being there or not, because the game functions fine, but it's going to be one of these things where it comes down to, like, these really tight windows of reacting. That was a little bit sooner than I expected, but just having these reaction times is just only going to be enhanced by being able to move without the inertia a little bit sooner like that. So I think it's just going to feel better for the player to not have that to have to worry about. But yeah, so if I'm not looking at, if there's like 3 or 4 different one of these guys, they probably aren't going to all attack me at the same time. So this is something you have to kind of get used to, the idea that you don't know which one is going to, I mean, you, I guess you have to figure out which one is going to go after you first, because if you're paying attention to the wrong one and trying to wait for them to shoot at you, then it's going to be real easy for you to get hit. That was interesting. Not sure. I'm curious about, like, the colliders. I tend to suggest people make the collision more forgiving than you might expect with this kind of game. Yeah, it's really hard to, just the nature of the game, it's really hard. I guess I could try the bullet time, right? Oh, well. Alright, yeah, so the inertia is going to be hard to deal with. Also, yeah, so when you're in the bullet time, the way that the movement changes, I guess makes it harder for you to anticipate how much time you're going to need for your craft to accelerate. So it might be another reason you'd want to consider changing the way the movement works. Actually, you could even do something like, I mean, I don't know. You could definitely have the movement be enhanced a bit when you're in bullet time. It might just feel better, so it doesn't. It's maybe not quite as, it's not so different from the real time movement, and then you won't have this element of, oh, I didn't move quite the way I expected to, that kind of thing. So I'm assuming that the collision is going to be pretty close to the same size as my craft here. The game's so fast moving with all these things, it's really hard to kind of tell. Yeah, I think from what I could tell from that last little interaction there, it definitely seemed like the collider's maybe a little bit bigger than it need to be there. So I always suggested, particularly for shmups, and this isn't a shmup, but it has a similar sort of fundamental to it. I would suggest making the colliders like a lot smaller actually than even the sprite itself of, like, your character sprite. And what that does is it just allows you to not get into these situations where you have like one pixel kind of brushing up against the other one, you know, just like barely nicking the corner of something, and then you just blowing up from it. It doesn't feel very good when things don't like connect cleanly, but they still kill you, you know. In that case, it kind of looked like maybe they didn't even touch each other visually when I blew up. It's a little hard to tell for sure, but yeah, so I suggest, you know, just make it more forgiving. It does make it easier, but you can always make the game harder in other ways and in better ways. You know, you always want the hard stuff to be in the right places. So that would be, I think, nice. As far as I can tell, it does seem like it's maybe a little big for the collision there, but let's try to play this a little more seriously for a little bit. I'm not suggesting I'm going to play it well, but all right, they're not quite It's interesting the way that the timing works. Like, you have to kind of try and get an equal distance between both of them or something to try and get them to run into each other. I guess that just kind of worked out. Oh. Yeah, sometimes I move a little bit before they fully do the thing. They're just on top of each other, so they're gonna blow up. Oh, okay. So I haven't been using the blink. It's hard to incorporate that into the play. I'm not really sure how to do that exactly. Oh. I'm not really sure how to use the blink effectively at this point. Well. Oh gosh, see, I didn't see that guy. I was looking at the other guys. It seems like it's going to be a hard thing for this game for players to kind of learn, is the idea of like, you can't watch everything at the same time, so if you happen to be watching the wrong thing, then something else is just going to run into you. Ouch. Yeah, it's a little unforgiving. It's not the easiest thing to move right at the right moment there, because you're waiting around for a bit and then you can't actually make your move until they turn red, so. What is that thing? Wow. Oh, it shoots like a missile. Okay. So yeah, pretty cool conceptually. Wow. Ugh. I don't know. I was hoping they were going to run into each other, but I guess not. Yeah, it's starting to get... Wow, that's coming after me still. It's hard to keep track of where your mouse is while you're doing this, especially because I'm not using the blink most of the time. So I kind of forget where the mouse is, and then like all of a sudden I need it, and it's like, well, I wasn't really keeping track of where it was because I'm watching everything else. This game definitely divides your attention a lot. You have to keep track of a lot of objects simultaneously, which is interesting. It's quite different from like a typical shmup, for example, because with a shmup, you depending on what kind it is, if it's like an omnidirectional shooter where you have like the mouse aiming, then you have to mostly keep track of like any projectiles that are coming at you, and then like wherever your cursor is. If it's like a single directional shmup, it doesn't have the mouse aiming, then you can kind of spend a lot more of your attention just on like the bullets that are around you and that kind of thing. Whereas in this one, you have to kind of pay attention to all of the enemies simultaneously, which is interesting. It's definitely a different feeling because they're all like really dangerous, and you just have to pay attention to what they're doing and try to react to them constantly, which is definitely a different sort of gameplay. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Direct hit. Oops. Bleh. It's not easy. And these are hard to manipulate, especially because the things are rather small and I move really fast, so it's like makes it actually hard to like get those to line up. Oh my gosh, and yeah, like if you move just slightly too early, and it won't work. Bleh. Yeah, my movement speed is quite fast. I guess if I use the other movement abilities I have, that would have helped out. Oh, yeah, I think that again, I think that just came down to the colliders. I tried to move down there like the moment before I blew up, and I felt like I should have been able to squeeze between those two enemies quite easily, but I just blew up colliding with it. So yeah, I definitely think you could benefit from a little bit smaller collision there. Might be nice if you have like some sort of a level system. This is just a demo, but it does take a little bit to kind of get back to where you were, you know. So it might kind of feel nice if you could kind of, if you do blow up and die, that you could kind of start back at like a checkpoint sort of deal, and then you know, that might feel a little better. Oof. Spawn kill, okay. Wow. Well, I guess I just moved in the wrong direction that time. Ugh. That sucks. Yeah, I think the last one, again, might have come down to just the size of the collision. A lot of these is just like me screwing up, and sometimes I'm trying, like, another enemy spawns in and I kind of look over there a little bit, or I'm trying to move, but I'm moving in the wrong direction. I'm not really dodging properly because these are very fast-moving guys. But I think there's a few of these moments where it's like, well, it's just kind of the size of the colliders, you know. Wow, okay, that was just going in the same exact direction I was. That was not so great. But yeah, so this is going to come down to, holy cow. There's definitely a lot of things to look at, but especially, oh, have I seen that guy before? Well, I don't know what that was. That was interesting. But yeah, just the amount of kind of focus that this demands. It's definitely going to be something that I could perform better at if I wasn't playtesting, and I could just have that extra distraction removed. This is definitely that sort of game where it's just really demanding on your attention, I guess, and your focus. Which is cool. I mean, you don't have to make this kind of game accessible for everyone, you know. It can be okay if it's a bit hard. But yeah, for me, playtesting is going to be a little bit challenging for sure. Yeah, so I'm kind of curious. Like, I don't know if I want to. Okay, I should probably use the other abilities I have a little bit more, I guess, if I can find ways to. I think there's some moments where it kind of made sense. I think, like, with the enemies that aim their projectiles at you, where I was kind of having trouble lining them up, I probably should have used something to kind of make that a little more precise. The other abilities that I have. Probably shouldn't get so close. It's probably harder. Alright, here's one of those enemies. Alright, well, they blew each other up. I was trying to use this guy to shoot at them, but it's okay. Oh, that guy locked onto me when I didn't expect he would. Interesting. Oh, shoot. It's really easy to just, like, get the enemies to lock onto you not at the moment you wanted them to, you know? A little bit too early, or a little bit too late. You move out of the way a little too soon. It's definitely challenging. Oh, I didn't move the direction I needed to. Alright, we got a freaking missile here. Alright, that just worked out. Woof, that was close. Ah, shoot. Alright, only 2 lives left. Wow. I guess that worked out, but I don't know. Like, which one should I prioritize killing? Oh, crap. Ah. Alright. That guy did not lock on when I hoped he would. Right, that was really bad. I think, okay. There's something, okay. Something I forgot. Alright, so I can move more slowly with the right mouse button. I kind of got a hiccup in my concentration at the last death there, where I suddenly realized there was like a mouse button that I wasn't using that I was supposed to be. So I can move more slowly, so that might be helpful at times, clearly. So the spacebar kind of does the same thing, but it's, I mean, not exactly the same. It definitely, you really feel that inertia when you're in the slow-mo there. Oh, so this does work as a resource, though, with the slow motion, so you can kind of use that frequently if you want to. It's really interesting, actually. That doesn't seem to cost as much as you'd think it would, especially compared to how much this costs. It actually seems like it's maybe a little bit... like the balance between these functions is a little off, because this actually is a lot cheaper than I expected it would be. That also makes me like not really want to use the teleport so much, because I don't know, maybe it's a little more costly than it should be. Okay. Alright, I just completely goofed in that. That was dramatically bad. I don't know. It's a little hard to line them up sometimes. Alright. So yeah, I'm not sure if I'm going to see anything new. I'm not sure if there is more to see in terms of more enemies and stuff if I get further in the game. It's of course quite possible, but... Well, crap. I just flew into it. Okay. So I'm a little curious. I'm trying to determine these guys, the sort of base enemy that launches itself at you. There's some times where it feels like it's a little hard to predict exactly when it's going to lock on and attack you. Like sometimes it might feel like it sort of does it a bit quicker than you expect or something. I'm not really sure about that. Well, the way it works is interesting. I mean, it's not really the rules governing it are not that obvious. It's more of an intuitive thing where you just kind of, by the feel of it, obviously it wants to like point towards you. It seems like if you're like going around it, then it's not gonna launch. I don't know. I guess it's just the nature of the thing. It doesn't always do it in a predictable way, I guess. It's more like... I guess you really need to pay more attention to the visual feedback of what's going to happen or something, as opposed to expecting a certain sort of rhythm to it or something. Shoot. Well, that worked out, I guess. Well, that's way too close. Ah! Holy moly, yeah. I let off the, let off the bullet time and it's like, felt really, I don't know, sudden how fast everything was all of a sudden. Well, that wasn't very good. Shoot. See, I thought they would lock on by then when I moved. It's definitely a little... It is hard to predict. Like when exactly they're gonna go red. I'm sure there's like consistent rules that are governing it, but it's just hard to kind of... For the player, it's hard to get a sense of it being consistent. That was more... I should have hit the right click or something to move more precisely. Just right into the thing. Yeah, I think... I think the teleport thing is the hardest thing for me to really... I mean, I haven't been using like the slow movement as much as I probably should, and I don't know. I'm sure there's times where this is really useful, but it's hard for me to get my head around when and how to use this, I guess. Oh, that is not... Okay, that is a completely different type of enemy. Well, that was not the time to hit the slow move instead of the bullet time, for instance. That would have helped more. Alright, this is... It's hard to keep track of the... These guys have such a long time between shooting. When there's like a bunch of them on the screen, it's like, oh my gosh, which one do I look at? Because you don't know which one is going to shoot at you first, and there's such a long gap. Yeah. In any case, yeah. I mean, I'm not playing particularly well, I don't think, but definitely feel the idea of the game. I think probably wrap this up, but yeah, I think it's cool. I think definitely has a nice, interesting feel to it. It does have the kind of the shmup vibe to it, but in a way that actually feels quite unique in the way that you're dealing a lot more with the timings and reactions to the enemies and stuff, and the positioning, of course. And yeah, it's really cool. I think just in terms of feedback, to reiterate things I've already said, I'd probably consider, you know, trying movement without inertia. It just kind of enhances your reactions, in effect. It just makes everything more responsive. I think that would definitely sort of complement this kind of play where you're frequently stopping and then trying to move out of the way really quick, and that's like exactly the kind of thing that not having inertia is going to make work better. In addition to that, you know, what I said about the colliders, I think you definitely would benefit from making those somewhat smaller, so that you really have to be hit by something like really directly, and not just, you know, just barely brushed up against or something in order for it to kill you. I don't remember what else I said. Oh yeah, just like the feedback and the visual feedback and stuff. If you make it like really obvious, I would put some considerable effort into making. It's not really an aesthetic thing. It kind of ends up being that way. I think it can make the game look kind of, you know, juicy, quote unquote, by making things flashier. But I wouldn't make it flashier for the sake of being flashier as much as I would really focus on making the feedback to the player in a functional sense really stand out a lot and make it really obvious. So it's like, okay, this thing's about to kill you. It's like, make it really clear that that's really dangerous, you know, like that. Whatever flashing animation kind of stuff you can do, that kind of stuff I think will complement this kind of game well. So yeah, I think it's definitely a successful concept, and glad I tried it out. It's really interesting to me. So hopefully this was useful for you. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'll see you in the next video.